to Newcastle, which does us a favour. So it could fall into our lap, but you've got to go and get it. You've got to go and want it. Weghorst can't start this game. Martial, whatever his future is at Manchester United, Ten Hag has got to start it. Talking about having possession, talking about looking up. When I think about Anthony Martial fit, I think about Anthony Martial, little clever link-up play, little clever link. We can get 1 hour out of Anthony Martial at home on Wednesday night, and he can do those things in the first half, I think we'll win the game. I think the difference between Weghorst and Anthony Martial is the difference between a wheelbarrow and a Formula 1 car. I think the movement that Martial will bring you, the intricate little link-ups. Look, I'm going to talk about Weghorst in a minute, but why can't we play with him? He's more confidence as Aka. Well, that's down to Ten Hag, isn't it? I'm not here to talk about that. But what I am here to talk about is Anthony Martial. When I compare Weghorst and I compare Anthony Martial, I see a player that's quicker than Anthony Martial. I see a player that's got better movement than Weghorst, and I see a player that can link up the play and hold up the play and make intelligent runs that pull people out. Weghorst could try and make an intelligent run. He could try and say, I'm going to drag the centre back to the right hand side to create space for Rashford to run into. But what'll happen is the centre back is running off there, and he'll go, I'm not going with him. He's crap. He's slow. There's no need. I don't need to. Martial peels off. You've got to go with him, because if the ball goes to him out wide, he's got space. You've got to start Martial. The risk is that he gets injured, but at the end of the day, he's going to get injured. We can't back him up in the wall. We have got to get 3 points against Brentford and Everton. We've got to do it. I'm not worried about top 4 unless we drop points against Brentford and Everton. You've got to win these 2 games. People think United. I mean, I've heard such nonsense today. I've heard so much nonsense. Top 4 race is over. I don't think it is. That never felt that top 4 was really up for grabs this season. Even as even in January, February, I was like, I wasn't sure. Since March, I've looked at it and gone, the running we've got, the players we've got, the run we've been on since December, we will get top 4, and I think we will. And that's what we've got to do, go and get it. We won't be getting top 4 if we drop points against Everton and Brentford. Bourbon with Friends has just gifted 5 memberships. You're a legend, mate. Thank you very much for that. So yeah, look, I think that team there is a team that actually looks decent. There's a massive Casemiro hole there, but realistically, if you could take Fred out and put Casemiro in that team, I think you've got a good team. And I said this afternoon, that's about as good as it's going to get. That team's about as good as it's going to get this season. Take Fred out of that team, put Casemiro in it, and that's about as good as we can get. Next season, I'm looking at that team, I'm thinking, look, yeah, we need an out-and-out world-class striker. We need another midfielder. I'd like to see a midfield 3 of De Jong, Casemiro and Bruno. I'd like to see a striker like Osman, and that's the progression for next season. But for what we've got right now, I mean, Casemiro and Eriksen back, and I think you've got our best team. So, look, I think the Newcastle game has knocked a lot of people's confidence, but we don't need to pick the same team as Newcastle. The Newcastle team was crap. That McTominay Weghorst thing's one of the weirdest things I've seen from any manager. I mean, that Newcastle results got Man United fans they've gone dizzy. The amount of tweets I've seen from people today saying that Solskjaer was underrated. I'm like, God, that's how bad that results got us. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was not underrated. He was not underrated. In my opinion, he was not underrated. He was a very bad manager who even I was fooled by. All of us were. I was singing Ollie's at the wheel. I'm not going to pretend I wasn't. But he was a bad manager. Trust me, the amount of stories that have come out since then, the amount of stuff that was swept under the carpet around people like Mason Greenwood and stuff like that, the fact he didn't even coach the players. He went on a brilliant away run when there was no bloody fans in the ground. He wasn't a good coach, and people want to say, oh, it's because of Ronaldo. He wasn't a good coach. We've got a good coach. Bad mistake. That Weghorst McTominay thing was some sort of weird thing that was never going to work. We don't have to see it again because we can put a team like that out. Why is a double pivot? Bruno has turned into Victor Azay could be a force. So Felix, just don't think Felix has got anybody that can hold the midfield. Now I like what somebody said about Shaw as left-sided centre-back. Malacia as left-sided and Martin. Yeah, I think he could hold the midfield. But look, we've got two options really. And Lisandro Martinez. I'd consider it. I don't look so nice, but I would like to see it happen. Man United will be a title challenge next season with a few more additions. So Sean, Luke, Doherty, O'Brien. Sean, with all due respect, I hope you're right, but I don't care. I think at this moment we've got to look at the reality. This season we've taken care of whether we've got new owners in. This season we haven't sorted out top four, we haven't won the Europa League, and that has to be the focus. Daniel Crawley says, Mark, this United team seems to drop their heads when they're losing. Well, we know. United at the moment, and as I said this afternoon as well, we've just got to try and get through this season and let Ten Hag solve those problems in the summer. And just look, you know what? Gary Neville can't stand me for some reason. We've never met. He obviously has a, personality that he lets people on Twitter get on his nerves. But I don't know the guy. I can't dislike him for, because he dislikes me. I take anybody on face value in relation to what they tweet out. I think Neville talks a load of nonsense sometimes. I think he talks a load of sense sometimes. And I was listening to what he had to say earlier about Wout Weghorst, and I absolutely agree with it. I think he's absolutely spot on. Weghorst has come in as a stopgap, and we need to be grateful for that because Ten Hag was given no money. He was told to go and get somebody on loan. In a January transfer market, getting somebody on loan, you're going to end up with people like Ighalo, and that's what happened. We ended up with Weghorst. He's not that good. He's limited. But you know what? It's about as good as we could get. So I don't dislike Weghorst because he's come in and done a job that we've needed. At times, we've just needed somebody to run around up front because we've got no one else to. That sounds ridiculous for a club like Manchester United, but search your heart. It's true. We needed somebody, anybody, to just play up front for us at times over the last few weeks, and Weghorst has become that. I mean, I described him as Peter Crouch pissed yesterday, and that's sometimes what he's been like. I don't dislike the lad, but if we're being completely honest, he probably doesn't start any Premier League club, but he's starting for Man United. And I'm not over-egging the pudding there. I'm not, pulling out some silly analogy about fans trying to make a ship. I'm being serious. Wout Weghorst probably doesn't start for any Premier League club. That's not his fault. You could argue it's not Ten Hag's fault. It's really a case of we had no money and we had to do something, and that's what we ended up with. And we've seen this before. You can't produce magic out of nothing. And Wout Weghorst, magic, whatever, it's not working. But ultimately, we needed something. I said it at the time. Something was better than nothing. I'll argue that with anybody. Anybody who says, "Oh, we'd be better off with nothing," we wouldn't. We needed a body. We needed somebody because Cavani's not been replaced, Ronaldo's not been replaced, and Martial's been injured. And Rashford can play up front, but then he plays on the left. Like Weghorst may not be everybody's cup of tea, and he's certainly not mine, but I don't mind it because actually at times just having somebody running around, but it's not sustainable. It's a very, and at times it's bitters on the arse like he did yesterday. At times he's very redundant, he's very limited, he's slow. But if you get into that mindset that he's just literally a body in the team, and we've needed that, United knew that Ronaldo was gone. They had 2 months before the transfer, and their plan was Wout Weghorst. It's abysmal. I don't want to make it about the Glazers. I want the Glazers to go and I want new owners in, but it was pitiful. It's pitiful what they did with Rangnick, and it's pitiful what they've done with Ten Hag. But we are where we are, and I think we can just about do it now. Mark, what do you think of Ten Hag being impatient with Sancho? I personally feel he doesn't suit the system and should look for a move elsewhere. Khalik, there was a video this afternoon where we went into it in a lot of depth. It's probably best if you watch that, but look, for Sancho. But the big problem with Sancho is, actually, just to bring it back into focus, the big problem with Jadon Sancho is this. We're picking a team for Brentford. We've got no Garnacho, we've got no Casemiro, we've got no Eriksen. he's still not getting in the team. That's the problem. £75 million, 300 grand a week. Even with injuries after a 2-0 loss, he's not in the starting lineup. Now, maybe Ten Hag will start him. You know, I hope he does, and I hope he does play well. But I wouldn't start him, and that's the problem that Sancho's got. He just can't get into the team. Trash says you rate Sancho, but tear into McTominay. Jadon Sancho may not be doing very well at Man United, but he hasn't had 5 years of underwhelming shit. That's, you know, I'm sorry to be blunt, but I'm at the end of the road with McTominay. I just can't see the point. I've supported United all my life. I've watched players. I can think of loads, like Kieran Richardson. You know, way better than McTominay. Never got half the years that he's got. There's been so many players at Man United that have moved on. James Garner's better than McTominay. Can't even get in the Everton team. Will Ericsson be available for the Everton game? Very unlikely, Alan, but, you know, very, very unlikely. It'd be great if he was. The poor result yesterday clearly shows a lack of squad depth. Eric Ten Hag is still figuring things out. Look, I disagree with that. I think that Eric Ten Hag has got to take the blame for yesterday. Sometimes as a manager, you do have to take the blame. Sometimes you've got to take the blame as a manager. He's got to take the blame. Sometimes he makes mistakes. Alex Ferguson made mistakes. Arteta's made mistakes. Pep Guardiola makes mistakes. I think that the best thing a football fan can do is be, you know, open-minded and have their own opinions. And I'm a massive fan of Eric Ten Hag, but he will make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. That's the way it is. Marcus Rashford had a crap game yesterday. Just because somebody's good doesn't mean they can't have a bad day. He got a lot wrong yesterday. He had a lot right. And that's why in the second half of the season we said he's a genius. Yesterday he got outthought by Eddie Howe and he couldn't respond. Rory says, why do you think the reason he was playing the deep line last year was because of Maguire? Clearly wasn't, says Rory. You're not thinking, are you? You have to play a deep line with Harry Maguire, but we still play a deep line without Harry Maguire. That's the problem. Like, you have to play a deep line with Harry Maguire. We don't. We are still playing a deep line, you're right. I think the reason we're playing a deep line is because we are still very much fundamentally attacking counters. And I think that there's a lot of reasons for that. I think the remarkable nature of Eric Ten Hag's season is that he probably hasn't picked his team that he'd like to pick this season more than a handful of times, and yet we've had a really good season. Most of this season he hasn't been able to pick Anthony Martial. A lot of this season Bruno Fernandes has been playing out. United's success this season, you can call it success compared to last year, because it's not where we want to be, but it's still success. It makes me laugh when people say how Goldbridge's second half of the season's been but man doesn't realise they lost 7-0 to Liverpool and 2-0 to Newcastle. I do realise but fundamentally most of our wins are won by 1 goal. That to me is a team that is built on a strong defence. We'll go back to that Redford loss and follow it up. 1-0 wins at Southampton and Leicester, and a 1-goal win over our defence has been the focus of Ten Hag. Losses. Yeah, there's been some heavy results and heavy defeats, but realistically, I think De Gea, Martinez, Varane, Casemiro, that diamond has really been the focal point, and we have to have a keeper to, you know, bring teams onto us to hit them quick. I think we're not. It's a bit like Anthony Lyons. We haven't seen the Anthony Lyons. I think we will do. And it's remarkable, like I say, that we've won the Carabao Cup, that we're still in the top 4, that we're still in the Europa League, and we're still in the FA Cup. We're not what Ten Hag is all about. We're not hitting 70% possession regularly. We're not hitting over 10 shots on target regularly. And we're not playing our football in the opposition half regularly. But I think it just comes down to the fact that Ten Hag decided, probably rightly, to not shut up shop, but to play a certain brand of football that these players can play. Let's not forget, these footballers playing counter-attacking football for 5 years. Rome wasn't built in a day, and I don't think Ten Hag trusts these players to play, or believes that these players will play the way that he wants to. We're in year 1 of the Ten Hag journey. I think people expect. I remember Ben Foster saying in September the Ten Hag style of football will take 18 months. Well, we're not even in 12 months. It's a really good point, but on one hand, you can't criticise these players and say they don't have the mentality and they're not good enough, and then expect us to be playing defensively. What I think is impressive is that we've managed to win trophies and put ourselves in good positions, even though we're still not where Ten Hag wants us to be. Varane and Martinez are more than capable of becoming supplementary wings. Playing as well. So there's no point in playing a high line if you're not going to keep possession high up the pitch. And we can't keep possession high up the pitch because you've got people like Rashford, Weghorst, Bruno, Anthony, who are not in tune with keeping the ball high up the pitch. And I think most of that comes down to the number 9, by the way. I think with Martial in the team, he is going to play his back to goal, hold the ball, play little intricate 1-2s and everything. There's no point playing a high line when you're not going to be able to hold the ball up high up the pitch. And I think that comes down to the fact that for most of this season, Ten Hag hasn't had a number 9 that fits in with that system. Unpopular opinion, Anthony/Street is the future. We should go for Dyche as director of football, says Kyle. And I said it a few weeks ago. Post-World Cup, Barca away side, we simply haven't played well. Love Ten Hag, but genius is too strong for now. Our ball retention is crap, something I thought he would address, says Ben. There you go. Lovely Mark, says Abba. Been following me for about 5 years. Much love from Down Under, says Abba. Thank you very much for that. Look, I think that yesterday's result is really, really